Hello my friends. Welcome to Reddit Rabbit. Before we start, catch the rabbit at the bottom right corner, smash that subscribe button and leave a comment. r/AskReddit. Albert Einstein once said if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. What was your moment when someone judged you like that? In high school I was really good at debate and aced all my government classes. However, I had to take a pottery class for an art credit. I sucked. Hardcore. My vase looked like some bees had taken crack before they built their hive. The teacher legitimately thought I was special needs. 2 years later I was working retail to help put myself through college. I ran into the teacher one day. "It is so awesome you have a job. Good for you." I felt like Kevin Malone being patronized by Holly Flax. My mother loves to tell this story to her friends. That freaking blows. Throwing is hard. I can hand build literally anything and get praised for it, but I can't freaking throw to save my life. Playing sports growing up I would make these comically bad errors. The ball would hit me directly in the face or I would swing at a pitch with too late. Everyone gave me it, even the coaches and parents. I kept playing because I enjoyed being active and around my friends, but I never understood why no matter how much I practiced I struggled with basic things that everyone else could do without thinking. I go to the eye doctor as an adult, and he tells me that I have a condition in one of my eyes that means I don't have binocular vision and as a result have very poor depth perception. It's physically impossible for me to track a moving object in space like everyone else. I know the pain, mate. Was forced to play volleyball in high school even though I obviously couldn't follow the ball. I was once looking right at it, but couldn't spot it, and it hit me right in the face. Turns out I have a retinitis pigmentosa, which not only means I can't follow objects, but I can't see at night. My peripheral vision sucks, and anything that requires precision movement is out of the question. Thankfully I'm great in other fields that do not require good eye coordination. When HR at a company had me interview for a different position than I had applied for, the position they interviewed me for was one I knew nothing about, and told them as much. Despite me telling them before each round of interviews that they had made a mistake, I still had to endure a full day of people asking me questions that I had no answer to. They had someone in mind, but needed to interview someone objectively worse than their preferred person so it didn't look like favoritism. I hadn't considered that angle. However, they flew me in, picked me up in a black car, put me up in a nice hotel. Would be a hell of a play if true. You would seriously be surprised how much money a company will pay a recruitment agency for candidates, in particular in the senior or above levels in IT. Sick money. I was the fish trying, and failing, to climb the tree, and my boss called to offer me a position swimming. That time my boss called me to tell me I sucked at my job, but followed it up by telling me I got crazy good comments about this one small part of my job. So would I like to do that full time? Did the new thing for 6 years and used it to land another, even better, position at the same company. Thanks for recognizing my talents, old boss. You were a bit of a rid boss, but when it mattered you really were a help. How? Hitting on and appreciating your boss. It was really a win-win situation. He got me off his team and I got to do something I didn't dread and was actually pretty good at. He was still a crap boss the rest of the time. When I was in the Navy I used to get in fairly frequent trouble for the suggestions I made for improving operational efficiencies. As an outside contractor they were quite happy to pay me $200 an hour to say the exact same thing. Personal change must come from within. Organizational change must come from without. Loose change must come from the pocket. And pocket change must come from someone else's. The Fortune 500 company I freelance with would prefer to use an outside vendor for a project, thinking they would do a better job since that's all they do. That vendor then hires me at my same rate, meaning the original company is just paying more for me to do the work I could have done internally. Moral of the story: if you charge more, people will think you're worth more. A $6 bottle of wine may be better than a $45 bottle, but most people will say the $45 bottle must be better, because why else would it be $45? That reminds me of this one thing I saw where someone started selling their art, but they had low prices in the hopes people would be willing to buy since it wouldn't cost much. They were struggling to make sales and looking for advice, and someone said to raise the prices for the same pieces from like $10 to $50. And it actually worked. Human psychology is nuts. The time my middle school art teacher called my parents because she thought I was purposefully mocking her by making my art bad. I literally can't draw beyond a 3rd grade level unless I am copying an object right in front me. My parents basically cussed her out after they saw how hurt I was. Has she really experienced such vindictive kids? Yeah, she raised them herself. Judged the country kids in my English class for being dumb fricks until I did the autos class. What I found incomprehensible, they could do with ease. I had become the dumb frick. Respect the fact that you admitted you were the one judging people. For real. This world would be a much better place if more people could admit their own mistakes such as these and grow from the experience. I lived in Argentina, from us, for a little bit as a kid. At a parent-teacher conference early in the school year, one art teacher had to break it to my parents that I might be mentally disabled because I don't respond or participate. They let her know I didn't speak any Spanish at the time. She had no idea because no one told her, and my name is Spanish and it just didn't occur to her. Currently ATM. I am in France for a few months. I can barely speak French and my teachers think I am mentally challenged, even though I was acing my classes back home. Even when you become fluent, they'll still think you're challenged. Source. Lived in France for years. Can confirm. French people are ruthless when you make a mistake. La chat. Say fricking la, you fricking idiot. This is pretty much what happened to me. I got treated better when I didn't even attempt to speak French outside of basic manners. Was hoping to get good at French, but after 3 months of that bullet I was done and coasted by with 80% of my French interactions consisting of Jesus désolé, je ne parle pas français, merci. On the bright side, it gained me new respect for immigrants who deal with that it. USMC judges you on your ability to run. No matter how good or bad you are at anything, if you can run fast, you are presumed better at everything. It overcomes crimes, mental retardation, and absolute stupidity. Yeah, that's dumb. I don't see how that correlates with your ability to eat crayons. The fastest Marine gets his pick of the crayon box. Once someone on Reddit started complaining about something and said I wasn't a real man for a bunch of reasons. I'm a woman, so they're not exactly wrong. I had someone tell me once, you're just jealous you can't get your dong wet. Well, you're right, I can't. Because I don't have one. I get that all the time too. My personal favorite was when I said it's difficult to date lesbians. It's a common issue with women that they were taught men should make the first move. So with 2 girls, no one wants to move first. Everyone assumed I was a dude harassing lesbians and trying to make them straight, which is why they wouldn't go out with me. Made the comment before going to work and I had -200 by lunch. Mayo, you're my hero. This was kind of judging as well as being judged. In my high school guitar class, me and one other girl were both really struggling. I judged her as being bad at music, unskilled, stupid, like me. Thing is, I remember an incident of my teacher, who was very technologically improficient, asking my help with typing something he'd written by hand. He was trying to read it aloud to me, but eventually I just asked him to set it down where I could see it, because it was easier and faster for me to touch type it. He was floored by how fast and how well correctly I could type that way, and while many, if not most, 16-year-olds probably can now, back then it was a little less usual. Not too long after, like a week I think, the piano in the music room was, for once, left uncovered. That girl who I'd judged as being a fellow musical idiot sat down and started playing that piano phenomenally. I have a very visceral and vindicating memory of my guitar teacher looking between her, me, the computer, and my hands, and saying, you know, that actually explains a lot. Due to the shift of computing from desktop and laptop computers towards mobile phones, we are actually seeing a reversal of the trend that young people can type well. A buddy of mine had said something similar about his kid recently. He's a programmer, and he kind of hoped to get his kid similarly into it. I remember joking one day that the kids of today would be able to effortlessly run laps around us when it comes to programming and making technology, not needing much training at all, because they are growing up basically surrounded by it. He just shook his head and said it was the opposite. All the tech of today works pretty seamlessly, requires almost no tinkering, and the daily need of a kid today to put hands to keyboard is minimal at best. Those of us who were born in the 80s early 90s had an analog childhood and a digital adulthood, so if we were interested in tech then we got to spend a lot of time looking under the hood and learning the ins outs. This is very helpful for learning how tech works. And since we didn't have smartphones, it was keyboards and desktops, laptops for everything entertainment, so we were very comfortable in that as well. Obviously modern kids can learn to do all this stuff, but my perception of what was some huge advantage to them actually wasn't. Our lack of advanced options and being limited to using a desktop laptop for everything made learning this stuff very fluid and easy for us, while future generations may actually have to put a more concerted effort in to learn it. Because their stuff isn't as crappy as ours, they have more interesting things available to do =D.